You're listening to Living Out Loud with my mom, Michelle Flamer. Yep, she's a flamer and proud of it. Get ready to learn about queers in your communities doing great things every week.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Out Loud. So glad you're here. Thanks for listening, and I appreciate some of you listeners pinging me from time to time and letting me know what you liked about that, the last episode or not. But I'm really excited. Today I'm honored to sit down with Paul Conroy, founder and producing artistic director of Outfront Theater Company. Paul is a storyteller, a community builder, and a fierce believer in the power of queer stories to shift culture, open hearts, and create belonging. Through Outfront Theater, Paul has helped build one of the Atlanta's most vital LGBTQ plus cultural spaces, a place where art becomes advocacy and representation becomes refuge. Beyond the stage, Paul is also serving as an ambassador for something deeply important to Atlanta's future, the LGBTQ plus community center feasibility study. Atlanta is the largest metro area in the United States with a dedicated LGBTQ plus community center. While more than 200 brick and mortar centers exist nationwide, Atlanta is a city rich in diversity, history, and queer brilliance, is still imagining what ours could be. A year-long feasibility study is underway to explore what it would take to build a center that is sustainable, community-driven, and rooted in Atlanta's future. Nearly 2,600 voices have already contributed, and the conversation is still unfolding. Paul's work lives at the intersection of art, activism, and belonging, and I'm excited to explore not just what he is building, but why it matters. Paul, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having, I want to reserve you now to write my eulogy whenever the time comes, because that was incredible.
You know what? I've had some guests say, can you text this to me after? So when I'm feeling kind of poopy about myself, I can just read what you wrote and it'll remind me that I'm doing good in the world.
That's great. That's great. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the intro. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I mean, so before we kind of go forward into your journey from artist to founder, right? Let's go back to where little Paul started and talk about talk about your journey and your coming out story, because I think we can all learn from each other's stories.
Yeah, and they're all everyone's. I've learned over time that everyone's story is diverse as they are. So I'm always fascinated by that too. Well, so I am just a little Irish Italian boy from just outside Boston, Massachusetts, in a city called Quincy. And Quincy is the city of presidents. It's where John Adams and John Quincy Adams are from and still entombed. Yeah. So every year in elementary school, we went and saw them buried, or their crypts. Grew up. I'm the youngest of 3 children. My parents just last year celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary. Yeah, 1965.
Congrats
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah, just even imagining. I mean, it's wonderful the way they still take care of each other, and we're very close as a family. I'm in Atlanta now, as you mentioned, but we were just up there for the holidays, and so I love spending time with them. But anyways, so I was born, and then some stuff happened. So it's interesting because I was born in 1979, and growing up in Massachusetts, we started having sex ed in the 5th grade. Yeah. Now that was when they separated us, boys and girls very much along gender lines. But I was kind of aware of, I was aware of AIDS at a very young age, because I grew up in the 80s. And so it was things that you kind of talked about. I mean, I'll preface all this with saying that my family is very open-minded, very accepting, very Massachusetts liberal. My father was born in 1939 in a very small town out in Western Mass, basically upstate New York. And he would tell me stories. This is later in life. He would tell me stories about how in the 50s he used to get into bar fights because he had a friend that was gay, and he would stand up for him against all the people that
Oh my
yeah.
God.
So very lucky in that sense. My sister's 10 years older than me. She always had gay friends. So anyway, so in there, in Massachusetts, and then my senior year of high school, I decided I had a choice. I had been on the swim team for a few years, but I kind of wanted to be in the drama club too. And then in the back of my mind, I said, well, you're not going to the Olympics. So why don't we try a new path?
God.
So I joined the drama club, and then that kind of became my life and my focus. I went to my undergraduate degree was from Long Island University. I went to school in the Hamptons, which I know sounds fancy, but in the middle of winter, it is the least fancy thing you can ever imagine. Although once I did see Gwyneth Paltrow buying cigarettes at a 7-Eleven. So, yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, so really in college was when I became comfortable with myself. And it was because of theater. I was very shy growing up until I was probably a senior in high school, and kind of found the old stereotype of all the weird drama kids flock together. But then in college, really became confident and, had friends from all over. We'd be going into New York City, going to these big, huge warehouse parties. And I just, I first came out to friends that I was in college with, which I think is kind of, a little more typical than that. And then I remember I was dating this boy, and I was home for Christmas, and I want to say it was Christmas Day. It was the night of Christmas. And my mother and I were alone in the living room, and I was just, I said, I have something to tell you. And I was very nervous, and I told her that there was a boy I was dating, and she just kind of looked at me and said, and that was it. That was, I consider myself so incredibly lucky that there was never a question, there was never any pushback, and I realized how incredibly privileged I am to be able to have a family like that. Because I know so many people are not like that. And I'll say, we did not grow up with a lot of religion. It's not big in my family. It still isn't big in my family. So that wasn't a barrier. Obviously, being in Massachusetts, being, in a very liberal state, that helped as well. But, I wish there was something a little more dramatic, but it just kind of was life is normal. And then we just kind of went on with it.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, hey, take the
Yeah.
win.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, I know you do, but I'm saying that's really that's fantastic. I love that, and I love that you're still close to them. I mean, we're all not as some are not as, like you said, as fortunate. And I'm close with my family as well, so I completely get it, and it's fantastic. I love that. So when you do look at your journey from artist to founder to community advocate, what feels like the through line that had guided you? Was it in college, or did you know that you'd be doing this? I don't think this was on your list,
No.
probably.
And honestly, I went through a period of time, probably in my 20s, where I think some people, I don't know if they still do, but, in the late 90s, early 2000s, where I was my sexuality is not going to define me. And there were years that I was I'm not going to Pride. That's not, there's so many things about me. So I moved to Atlanta in 2009 and was kind of, doing whatever for jobs. And in 2013, I started a graduate program, in a master's in directing for theater. And what it was that I would go away for 6 weeks a summer to Chicago and do intense studies. At the time that I started, I was working for a different theater here in Atlanta. It was a terrible terrible experience. I mean, this theater has since gotten a national reputation. It no longer exists, but a national representation about how toxic and terrible it was. So I'm there
Oh,
for about 10 months and I quit. I said to my boyfriend, who's my husband now, I was like, I don't want anything to do with theater. I'm done with theater. I'm going to finish this degree, but I'm done with theater. So 2014, go back to school in Chicago. I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? What am I going to do? And part of this program was we had to go and see shows at local theaters. And we went to see a show at Chicago has 2 queer theaters. We went to see a show at one of them. And then like the next day, I'm sitting in my dorm room writing a paper or something. And I said, now, wait a minute. Chicago has a queer theater. And I just started researching. And I was like, okay, San Francisco has 2. LA has 1. New York has a bunch. I knew about the one in Boston. My husband he was a professional ballet dancer for many, many years. So we've always been like the artsy couple. So our
yeah.
friends would say to us, hey, you know, we want to go and see a show or something, what's playing around here in Atlanta. And we would tell them, and all of our queer friends were like, yeah, that doesn't really sound interesting. Doesn't sound like I can connect with it. So I was like, okay, wait. We know that there is a business model that exists in other markets. And we know that there is an appetite for this type of theater in Atlanta that does not exist.
Mm-hmm.
So that was literally it. Then I just started filling out paperwork. It was just a lot of like forms and stuff. But I said, if there is a queer community that wants queer stories on a consistent basis, then there should
Yeah.
be a way for them to see that. So I started Outfront Theater Company. Our first show was in 2016. And
Wow.
the advocacy part came very, very quickly. You know, I'm always like, I never thought that I would be running. I always wanted to run a theater. So that was always in my mind. But a social message-driven theater was never in my mind. By 2018, the mayor of Atlanta at the time had decided to put together an LGBTQ advisory board, and I got asked to sit on the board as the co-chair of Arts, Culture, and Entertainment. And that
What
and
a
that
great
and that really was
opportunity.
when the advocacy began. And then it was just, oh no, this is going hand in hand. This is what we're doing on stage is a political act without us saying it's a political act. And
Yeah.
it is this advocacy for the entire community. So then, I mean, I guess my hobby is kind of advocacy through other avenues outside the walls of the theater, but also inside the walls of the theater too. And then you asked me to be on this podcast, and here we are.
You're so cute. So Outfront Theater, has become more than just a
Yeah.
performance space. It's now home for many people. What do you believe that, queer theater uniquely offers
Oh.
that other, spaces cannot? What drives
I
you?
mean, we have a lot of glitter. We have a lot of we have a lot of confetti. Anytime I'm directing a show, everyone's very scared to ask how many confetti cannons we're gonna have. Um,
Oh, God,
you know,
love it.
I think that queer theater. Um, I think it's a few things. One, we're not afraid to be silly and celebratory.
Mm, mm,
Um, which right now is what I think the world needs most. I'm the world is so heavy right now that you
yeah,
know, I don't want to go and see shows that are heavy. I need 2 hours of escape. Yeah,
yeah,
I need to recharge, and then I need to go back out into the world. And so I think that we have that understanding of what I think that we're more in tune with our community because we have such a specific mission than some theaters are. And community is the word. I feel like I overuse the word, but I come back to it thousands of times a day because it is community. There's unspoken things that we as queer people can understand about each other. And I'm glad that we're
mm-hmm,
finally at a place where the broader society is starting to accept and understand these things. And I think they come in waves. I you know, I think that Ellen DeGeneres had to have her career ruined so that Will and Grace could exist, so that you go all the way up to Heated Rivalry. That is the biggest thing that's happening
Mm-hmm.
right now. And you can see these benchmarks. And so
Yep.
I think I think queer theater has led that because, I mean, The Boys in the Band, one of the most historic queer shows ever, premiered
Mm-hmm.
in New York a year before Stonewall. So
Mm.
queer theater has been at the forefront of pushing the narrative and pushing the understanding of our rights to a broader
Mm-hmm.
society. So the other thing about queer theater is that we're not afraid. We're not afraid, whether it is to look like fools or make everyone laugh, but there's not really a lot that's off the table as far as subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
And that I find it really exciting. Like, that's what gets my blood pumping, even after having worked in theater now, oh God, almost 30 years if you count undergrad school. So,
So are you finding writers? Are you finding people who just want to be involved? Like what does like 0 to 60 kind of look like when a new production is needed,
yeah.
right? Like when you're ready for something fresh and
Yeah,
new.
it's interesting because each one is kind of different. So we do 5 main stage shows a season, and I always think of it as like
Okay.
if I had 5 children. And,
Right.
someone's going to be the quarterback, someone's going to be the valedictorian, but then there are going to be ones that maybe need a little extra tutoring, or they get
Mm-hmm.
kept back a grade or something like that. But it's
Right.
amazing the people that keep coming back and supporting us no matter what we do. But I'm always thrilled with the new people that just discover us. I'm in almost every single production because
Oh, I
I think
love
it's
that.
important. And if I'm not there, then someone else on my staff or my board is there. But I think that it's
Yeah.
important for that because it's going to be someone's first time. And
Aw.
we have people that drive for hours. Like, I'm not, like, when I say that, I'm not exaggerating. We have people that drive
Yeah.
from beyond Birmingham, Alabama to see our shows, and
Wow.
that's about a 2-hour drive, or south of Macon, Georgia, which is about 2 hours as well.
Yeah, I know Macon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's when I'm thinking, okay, what we're doing, even with all of the struggles and the annoyances, but what we're doing really means something because people are coming from
Mm-hmm.
so far away to see what we're doing. And that's what, when I'm frustrated with things, that's what keeps me going.
I love that. Oh, it's really beautiful. And so beyond, the theater, it's like you've now taken on this ambassadorship with the
Yeah.
community center. And like, why did this effort feel so personal to you?
Um, so it was kind of born out of the mayor's LGBTQ advisory board, which I was on for 6 years. And then, so let's see, that would have been until 2024, 2023, something, 2024, or something like that. And the fact that we don't have a community center here has been a thorn in everyone's side for years. And conversation just kind of went around and around and around. Where's it going to be? How are we going to get the money? Blah, blah, blah. So finally, the we have a bar here, the Atlanta Eagle. We have 2. We have an old one and then a new one. And the old one has been closed for a few years. And it caught on fire. Let's say, like, yeah,
Oh
maybe like a
gosh.
year and a half ago. It was abandoned. They think that maybe just some unhoused people were in there and they accidentally started. No one was hurt. It was fine. But
I felt like that every time I walked into the Claremont
oh my God,
Lounge. I was like, when is this thing gonna just tumble? And you're like, it's just the whole building's gonna collapse on
the
top
next
of
time
it.
you're in
And I know
Atlanta,
that,
you need to come back because that is now, it has all been redone. It is like the place to
yes.
be.
I know and I don't know if Blondie's even still there, but I mean it's been a couple of years for me only, but yeah, every Saturday night,
Hmm.
twice a year, that Saturday night we'd go and just have so much
I hope
fun.
everyone listening to this
But
looks
that's
up the Claremont Lounge in Blondie, because it is Atlanta history.
She is a sight to
Yes.
behold. The last time, just real quick, I'll go off topic for a second, but the last time I was with her, I literally just gave her the money and said, you don't have to worry about crushing the
Yep.
can. So she crushed, you guys, in her I've been going to Atlanta for 20 years for trade shows. So my ulterior life before, what I'm doing now. But it's one of those things where she was vibrant back then, and she used to crush
Mm-hmm.
PBR cans with her breasts for $10. And then it went up to
Yep.
20, which was fine. But now she can barely, she doesn't have a lot of extra, muscle anymore around all that area. So I just usually give her money and say,
Yeah.
don't worry about crushing anymore. I have good memories from it
But
all.
she's an institution. I don't know if she's still there or not.
Yeah. Icon.
Okay, so the Old Atlanta Eagle burns, and the mayor goes there to see it, and is being interviewed by one of the local news crews, and says something to the effect of, this should really be a museum for the LGBTQ community. And then it just took off. The city council approved funding for a 1-year study. Everyone was on board. I had been asked to serve on the committee, and then they were looking for co-chairs. And I was talking to the coordinator about it, and I said, look, I bring two important skills to being a co-chair. Well, three. I mean, I understand the community and the importance of this,
Yep.
but number one, I don't care if people are angry at me. I will tell people exactly what I'm thinking, and if they are taking up too much air in the room. That comes from my being a kindergarten teacher. So, yep. Oh, I've taught every grade from preschool to college. So,
Oh my
from
gosh. I love that.
3.5-year-olds all the way up to college seniors and older. So
Wow.
that was number one. And then number two was I'm very loud. And so, joking aside, yeah, those were two good qualities, but I know that this is something that is bigger than me, that is bigger than anyone that is involved, that is staring directly into the face of all of the hatred that our community is getting right now, and us saying, not only are we not backing down, but we're going to build the most beautiful building that has ever been built, and we're not going to slap some gaudy gold name on the side of it to stroke someone's ego, and we're going to do it when those people are trying to keep us down. Yeah.
Yep.
So the study actually just wrapped up in December, and we presented everything to the mayor, and he was thrilled. And we're at the point now where we're just waiting for the green light. I mean, there's no way that it's not happening. Now it's just, crossing some T's and dotting some I's and getting the ball rolling on stuff.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it all comes down to like licenses and certificates and just making sure everything is sound
Yeah.
and safe. But that takes a little bit of time, but that's
does.
beautiful. I'm really excited for Atlanta and that, and the community to really, have that, because I think it's so much bigger than everything else.
And
And it's
and
really
people said to me, were they worried? Because right now, Outfront kind of serves as a de facto queer community center. We host lots of groups and events because we're an all ages venue. We're not a bar. Queer bars are so important to our history, but it's very important to make sure that we have spaces for people that are under 21 or sober people that don't want to be in bars. And people were like, well, aren't you worried? And I said, no, the more that we have, the stronger we all become. So I want the community center to say, hey, we can't have your event here, but call out front. And I want to be able to as I'm looking at things, say, we're booked with a show, but I think the community center has something available. So it's not about competition. It's about this symbiotic relationship lifting each other up together, which is,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
aligning. It's
yeah.
aligning to that, and I'm curious because like in the sense of everything, what have you learned so far from the study and with all of these findings, like what has surprised you or moved you?
So the majority of LGBTQ centers in this country came out of either the first uprising resistance of equal rights in the late 60s, early 70s, or really the AIDS epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not late to the game. We're just in a different, because again, we're facing repression now. What's interesting is that those centers have, when they were created, had a narrower scope. And throughout the years,
Mm-hmm.
they have broadened their scope. So say, there's a center somewhere in the country that was created in the mid 80s. Obviously, their focus is health. We have to keep
Yep,
the community healthy. We have to find out what's going on. We have to take care of people.
that's right.
And
That's right.
then it has morphed to other things. So we're in a very interesting place because we have all of this history to look at, and we know so much more of what the community needs.
Mm-hmm.
Mental health services, physical health services, job training, programs for LGBTQ seniors, programs for LGBTQ youth. We need an event space because people will want to be celebratory there. Obviously, art is very important. So the list goes on and
Mm-hmm.
on. But what I've learned is it's going to be very hard to make everyone happy.
Right.
And I think that that's okay because, like the famous quote from Abraham Lincoln about making everyone happy all the time, it doesn't work.
Yep.
Because I think we can continue to evolve and learn, and we'll be able to give as much as we can to the community up front. And then once the center is going, if it needs to pivot, but we're trying to put it in a place where that pivot is easier than some of these centers that have been around for decades.
Yeah. No, it's so beautiful. I mean, you know, the word
Mm-hmm.
belonging has been some like a front of mind, through Brene. Like I love Brene Brown and how
Mm-hmm.
she talks about belonging, but it's like, how does that idea of being seen without having to change who you are, like how does that idea show up in your work, both on stage and in this community building?
Yeah, on stage it is. I mean, it's literally every story that we tell.
That's what I
Yeah.
was thinking in my mind.
I
About
mean,
the answer, yeah.
every story is universal. Just because it's between, if it's a love story between two people of one gender or two people of different genders, it doesn't matter because love is still love. Not to sound cliche, but love is
Yeah.
love. And, you
Yeah.
know, it can be a story of a struggle between a child and a parent. What does it matter if one of them is
Yeah.
queer? And so, we have a lot of allied people that come to our shows, and they're not uncomfortable, and they're mostly, every once in a while, there'll be a very specific, campy joke about poppers or something, and then the straight people are like, what are they talking about? And then we have to explain them.
Uh-huh.
Our holiday show had a lot of Liza Minnelli in it, and so
Oh, I love
so
love that.
and I love that too because I think that that's also part of like an education, not just for allies, but for
Yes.
our community as well, for younger
Yeah.
people. But anyway, so I think that sense of belonging hopefully comes across in every story we tell, even if people are sitting in our audience saying, okay, the main character is a different race from me. They're a different gender than I am. They're a different age bracket than I am, but I understand what they're going through. And that makes
Yeah.
them want to come back more and more. And for the community center, it really was, we talked to so many community people and had forums and our online survey and just really sat and listened and didn't try to drive the conversation. It was giving the car to whoever it is that we were talking to, saying, okay, now take us where you want to go.
Yeah.
And I think that there'll be that sense of belonging. And again, not everyone's going to get what they want right away, and that's fine. But a community center should be constantly built upon by the community long after we are gone from this earth.
Yeah. I mean, much like you look at your husband, it's like you both want to evolve and
Yep.
grow. That's what you want for the
Yeah.
community as well around you, is to evolve and grow, knowing that, wow, the community center a year ago looks nothing like it used to look. And I mean that in an energetic
Yeah.
sense,
Yeah.
right? It's like, wow, it's really changed. And that's exactly what you want. That means that the community is healthy and is starting to thrive because, they're asking for different
Yep.
things, and certain things that used to land don't land anymore,
Right.
right? Like
I mean, if you
it's
if you think
fascinating.
about it in a very like corporate capitalistic way, but think of like any amusement park. If you think of Disneyland or Disney World, when they opened in,
Hmm.
Disneyland opened in the 50s. Disneyland
Yep.
is not what it is now. There are a couple of things that are the same, but then
Sure.
there has to be that evolving of just, it's just what people
But
need.
that's just because it's based on
Right,
nostalgia.
right.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? It's not necessarily based on the corporation
Right.
itself and how they are great to the gay
Yeah.
community, or how they sometimes F
Yeah.
up like they did, and we yell back by saying discontinue, like, we're dumping this,
Yeah.
cancel. And because we have a bigger voice, I think that's one thing that that the community, or the queer collective across the country right now, based on what's happening in the world, I think we're realizing that we have more strength
Hmm.
than we ever have had. And I think seeing all that, and that's why I love what I'm doing with the podcast, because I get to talk to all of you community leaders in states that, either I have, a sentimental, connection with, or a place I've never been to before. But the one thing that kind of, connects us all is this beautiful rainbow
Yeah.
cord that we all get to speak to and get to share, and we're all sort of in the same boat, and I feel like we're all finally
Yeah.
rowing the same direction, because my mom, as a boomer, just like your parents, when they were born, my mom was born in 1947. I was born in 1969. But it's one of those things where my mom has always been so gay
Hmm.
friendly, and it's like you just feel so lucky. But she didn't realize, in her mind, until she started even helping with my podcast and wanting to be somewhat involved, she thought queer was still a
Yeah.
derogatory word.
Yeah.
And so we still are all coming out, and educating anybody who is willing to understand, obviously, and that queer is now our umbrella. We don't have to necessarily say LGBTQ plus,
Right.
IA and all the alphabet, but we can just say, look, this is for the queer community, and it sort of encompasses everybody now. And I think that's a really nice foot forward to make things
It
simpler.
definitely is, and I know that there are still people that are uncomfortable with the word, and I think they're evolving, and I think they're understanding that
Yeah.
it's being claimed. I mean, I will fully admit that even me and some of my friends, as a gay man, we will use the F slur with each other once in a while of what we were of. I mean, but that's what I was called for the
Hmm.
majority of my childhood, and so there's now that empowerment of saying, you know what? It doesn't matter. I actually, when I taught high school, I did this lesson at one point. I taught theater majority wise in high school. And I did this one lesson where I said to the kids, I said, I want you to tell me every word that you find offensive, and I'm going to write it on the board. And we spent like half an hour, of the minute little things. And someone would say something, and then the class would say, well, why do you find that offensive? And then they would explain it. And at the end of the lesson, I just said, look, you want to know what you can do with all of these words? And I just erased the board. And I said, that's it. It's a word. It is a word that is a sound, and it's gone in an instant. So,
Yep.
I hope that that stuck with some of them, because that's, yeah,
Love
it's a
it.
thing that I think we're all learning too. I mean, I'll even
Mm-hmm.
admit queer was not necessarily something I was comfortable with for a long time, and now I don't know. Maybe because I'm getting older, I'm just like, "Ugh, I don't have time. Just queer's great. Whatever. Move on."
I love
Yeah.
that. I totally love that. And I really love like the relationship between these older cultural institutions and then you guys really at the forefront here, which is Outfront,
Hmm.
right? I love that. And this community center, I think it's really, really cool. Like when you imagine Atlanta, like in the next, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, what role do you hope these spaces and storytelling will play in shaping that future? I mean, this is your legacy, really.
God, I mean, I understand that it is. I hate to think of it that way, because I truly believe that the community center, the theater, it all exists because of so many people. There are just so,
Right. Takes a
right, there are
village.
just so many cogs and gears in the machine that keep it all going. The only thing that I can ever claim is that I had the idea to start the theater. And that was literally it. I mean, I did some paperwork and stuff, but beyond that, our staff, our volunteers, our board of directors, our actors, our audiences, our technicians, our designers, just the community partners, it literally takes every single person. And sometimes that is one person coming to a show once. That's all that it
Yeah.
takes. So to answer your question, the community center, it's interesting because we're hoping that it is all completed by the time Mayor Dickens, who just got reelected, is leaving office. So we kind of have a 4-year deadline, which is aggressive, but
Hmm.
I'm not digging any holes. I'm just showing up to hopefully cocktail parties.
Well, does Outfront Theater get involved in politics? Are you
No,
guys
no, no. As
okay? I didn't know like if you guys were gonna, walk or, for the 2026. I mean, we've got a lot of seats to we need
Yeah,
to we need to close out this ranks. The blue wave has to keep
I
on
know. It's
rolling
it's
here.
very hard. So, as a 501(c)(3) nonprofit, we are
Yeah,
forbidden from endorsing any candidates. Um,
gotcha.
and I will say that my like pragmatic New England mind is I want to keep doing what we're doing, but keep our head down a little bit for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
It's Georgia ranks dead last for arts funding in the country. It has for well over like 15 years now. Um, it's really pathetic. We've
Yeah, it is.
lost corporations that have supported us in the past. They've had to withdraw their funding because of what's happening politically. So, I also think that this administration is just getting started with retaliation against
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people. I mean, I say all the time, I would not be shocked if I get an email tomorrow and say, your 501(c)(3) status has been revoked. I would not be,
Wow. That's where you're living, like in that space every
yeah. And I
day.
mean, I talked to another queer arts nonprofit leader here in
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta, and they are saying, his biggest fear is the IRS shows up and says, we're going to audit you within an inch
Mm.
of your life, and there's nothing you can do. We're seeing the government be weaponized in ways that we've never seen it
Yeah.
before. So already
Should
arts funding is gone. I mean, it's gone.
go.
And so um but I go back to just what we're doing is a political act, even without saying that it's a political act, because you know no one can stop us from doing drag, and
Yeah.
drag performers have been carrying the torch of our rights for
Yeah.
generations. And,
Mm-hmm.
no one can destroy the words that these authors have done. Even if you want to ban every book that exists, they're still going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we're political without being political, if that makes sense.
Oh no, I mean, absolutely. I mean, me walking outside, it's like Lesbian
Right, right.
Visibility Week every day,
Yep.
right? Like we're being visible in ways where, we can help. I mean, this is my little corner of the cog, in the
Yeah.
wheel. It's like, that I get to do this, maybe someday someone will be like, yeah, we don't want your queerness on a podcast
Hmm.
anymore or whatever. But until then, I'm going to keep sharing stories. And what do you think heated rivalry, since you brought it up earlier? I mean, I loved it, but what do you think it's doing for our community? I mean, I feel like it's the first time in
Yeah.
years where I saw male, queerness, male gayness in such a raw, tender form that it's like you can't help but watch. And obviously the character development, and they just have done such a beautiful job. And there's going to be almost, I think they've signed on
I
for
think so,
two more
yeah.
seasons.
It's funny because I
And so,
just finished watching it maybe 3 nights ago.
oh my
I was very late
God.
to the party, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it
That's
all.
okay.
Um, I completely agree with you. I think that, like I mentioned before, Ellen being on her show, and Will and Grace, and
Mm-hmm.
Queer as Folk, and the L Word, and
Yep.
Pose,
Yep.
and
Orange is the new
right, like,
black. Pose. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
but heated rivalry, I think it's very private, and
Yeah.
I think that that's what is drawing.
The
Yes,
psychological
yes,
side, like this, yeah, like that piece where these, professional athletes are having to hide themselves for
yeah.
years.
Oh, I could not
And
keep
then,
track of the time jumps in heated rivalry. I was like, they've known each other how long? Now it's the next spring. They don't see each other for a year. But
yeah,
but I think
yeah.
it goes back to what I was saying, is that
Hmm.
it is just a universal story of two people that are in love, and they can't let
That's
people
right.
know that they're in love. I mean, it's not essentially, but it's Romeo and Juliet. It's two people
Right.
saying we cannot show our love to the world. How do we keep our love
I mean,
private?
it's right. I mean, it's when, black and white
Yeah,
couples would emerge, and it was against the law, in many parts of
yeah,
the country for years. It's just a fascinating lens to see it through, and I really am so excited for how it's become so mainstream and everybody is loving it, and I don't know, it just gets people talking
yeah.
about,
And I hope that there's a
queerness.
wave now, because now I want lesbian stories like that. I want a story. I want a
Yeah,
trans story like that. I want non-binary stories like that. I want
yeah,
I want people to understand what asexuality is. I want people to understand what
yeah,
polyamory is, and just
yeah.
say, you know what? Even if this is not me, even if this is not for me, I now can understand it a little bit more. So I have some empathy and I have some understanding, because I think that that is
Well, you have
right.
compassion.
And that's how we drive division. If you say
Yeah,
community X does this and this and this and this and this, and people hear that and they don't know anyone in community X, then they have no
hmm,
exposure on television, movies, theater, literature, whatever it might be, then there's no way for them to think anything else than what they are being brainwashed.
yep, I agree. I mean, I love that. I mean, I think you just named the next 5 years of
Oh
your
God.
plays.
It's
You
possible.
could be the one to start telling those stories. I mean, I think you have
It
a
is
vision
it's
there.
very
So,
possible. Everything that we're doing is very focused. I think it was all last year. Like, we are so focused on just telling queer joy. I tell everyone, I'm
yes.
like, every show that you leave here, I promise you will be smiling. Yes, there might be a message in there. It's the old Mary Poppins thing, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. But yeah,
Totally.
you're
I
gonna walk
agree.
out of here, and my most favorite thing in the world, is, and I think it's the most powerful thing in the world, when a group of strangers, so we have 150 seats in our theater, when we have a sellout show
Okay.
and there's 150 people there, maybe they know one other person there, maybe they know, a couple other people, and they all laugh at the exact same thing at the exact same
Oh,
time,
that's the best.
because
Yeah,
it's
it
right.
resonates.
It is just and it is instantaneous. It is a joke lands and everyone laughs. And you go, it does not matter what our differences are, because look
Hmm.
at that. We all
Yeah.
experience joy at the same time, at the same level.
Yeah. I use that hashtag a lot
Oh,
actually in
really?
social media, queer joy.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's it resonates for me because I think finding joy is so important and living in joy and purpose, it's all in it can be such it's good work, it's like it's like what sparks joy for yourself and go after that because the world
It
is heavy
is.
like you've said. And so we have to find reasons if it's going to the theater and laughing at the same time, or if it's meeting one of your favorite friends, for
Yep.
coffee and you just get to, download the latest.
And I
But
and I think and I think a
all
lot of
right.
we have to understand too is that there are people out there not
Hmm.
experiencing joy. And so if we
Right.
can create it, then they're going to
Yes.
find the sliver
Yes.
of it, whether it's on social media or whether it's on TV or whether it's, standing at a pride parade by themselves and getting a
Yep.
postcard or something. They'll find they'll that we
Yes.
have to create the joy so that people who think it does not exist can find it.
I love it. So this is around the time where I start shooting out
Oh,
rapid fire
amazing. I
questions.
love that.
Okay, good. Are you so
I'm
you're
ready.
ready?
I am
So
an Aries, and so I'm going to give you the first thing that pops into my mind, no matter what it is.
I love it. I love it. Theater or film?
Theater.
Of course. First show that made you feel seen.
Oh God. First theater show or first like? Okay,
Anything. First show. It's
okay.
your
Okay.
answer.
I have an answer, and then I have a story. Um,
Okay.
1999 movie called Trick.
Oh, yeah.
Indie queer film. So like there were a lot of queer films that came out in the late 90s, and my friends and I would take the subway when I was home in Boston. We'd take the subway into the independent theater and see it. So anyway, so Trick, it was literally, the plot is boy meets boy, they're into each other, they spend the whole movie trying to find a place to hook up. That's it. And by the end of the movie, they haven't found a place, but then they find that they really like each other and they want to see each other again. Okay.
Oh, that's
So
sweet.
fast forward to November 2021. We had just done our first show out of the pandemic, at the theater, and I was
Yeah.
thinking about, what path the theater was going to go in, and a lot of other theaters in all the markets, if they're not queer focused, they still do queer shows. And so, you can't all be doing the same show at the same time. So I said, you know what? We need to start creating some new shows that people will come and see. So I did some
Hmm.
research online and I found the email address of the person who wrote Trick the movie.
You
I did.
did? I
And
love
I
that.
sent, it might have been to his agent, but I think it was to him. And I just sent an email saying, this is what I do. This is how your movie is important to me. I think it should be a musical. And a few days later, he wrote back and he said, well, let's just hop on a Zoom call. To make a
Love it.
very, very, very long story short, last spring, we did the world premiere of Trick the Musical.
Oh my God, how good
It
was
was
it?
so incredibly charming and impactful, and
Oh.
Jason, who wrote the movie and wrote the musical, and I have become friends. And as soon as we did it, so many other queer theaters across the country that I'm connected with are messaging me saying, we have to do it. We have to connect us.
Oh, I
How can it
love that.
happen? And so now, for the rest of time, whenever someone does this show about two boys just trying to hook up and falling in love by the end of it, like there's going to be a little asterisk there that says the first ever production was at Outfront Theater Company and I was the director. And yeah, it just was this simple, sweet story, but that's what comes to mind is that I remember seeing it in the theaters when I was in college, and it has just come full circle.
Mhm. God, what a great
Yeah.
moment for you. I'm like, I love that for you. Um, Coffee or
Oh, tea. I
tea?
hate the taste of coffee. I hate the taste of coffee. Chai tea, preferably, but I can down Celsius's like there's no tomorrow.
Okay, I
Yep.
see you. Um, Rehearsal or opening night?
Rehearsal. Oh, absolutely
Yeah, it's
rehearsal.
all
Yeah. Opening night, I'm the least important person in the room. Can't do anything about it.
aw,
It's rehearsal
totally.
is having fun, is trying things out, it's talking and it's laughing, it's seeing what worked and what doesn't. Opening night is just okay, do it.
A piece of advice you would give your younger Paul.
Um it's okay to stand out and stand up
Mm,
earlier
mm,
than you think it is.
I love
Yeah.
that. That's a good one. A song that always lifts your spirit.
Fame, the Irene Cara song from the movie Fame.
God, I love it. See, mine is out here on your own,
Oh my
out here on
God.
my own. I used to say, I mean, I come from Lee Strasberg Theater
Yeah.
Institute in West Hollywood during the 80s, so that was, I just freaking love
Can
that.
I give a secondary one though?
Yeah,
The theme song to the
totally.
Golden Girls.
Oh, hell yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you for being a
Yeah.
friend, right?
Yep.
I love that. That is a happy making one. One thing you believe Atlanta is ready for next.
One thing Atlanta's ready for next. I'm I'm struggling to not be like better public transportation because that's not
Yeah, I
but
mean,
that's not a
whatever.
funny answer. You know what? Atlanta is ready for whatever means of better connectivity between communities and neighborhoods that it needs, whether that is public transportation, more efficient public transportation,
Mhm.
whether that is um, more diverse community driven events.
Yeah.
It is ready. I love that Atlanta's slogan is the city too busy to hate. It's been
Mm,
that way since the 60s when Martin Luther King Jr. was here. Ironically, we're talking on Martin Luther King Day. Um,
I know. And I used to, when I was there, I used to go outside and take a break and watch the
yeah.
parade.
My husband and I, we live in the old Fourth Ward. We live maybe a 5-minute walk to the Ebenezer Baptist Church where Martin Luther King was a
Oh,
preacher, where our
ooh,
Senator Raphael
yeah.
Warnock is now a preacher, and his birthplace is right down the street from us too. So I love that that's Atlanta's slogan. So I think that we're ready for connectivity in ways that we haven't thought about yet.
I love that. And then my last question is, what does living out loud mean to you?
Oh, I want to just start like listing off stupid things like living out loud is God, it's crop tops and it's fur and it's glitter and it's tiaras and it's giant platform shoes and it's long eyelashes and it's gaudy jewelry, but at the same time it's flannel and it's jeans and it's skirts
Mm-hmm.
and it's just I think that it's living out loud is not being afraid to put your battle armor on to
Yeah.
express who you are and find that
Yes.
that voice, and all of the tiny little things that some people might think are weird that make all of us
Yeah.
special and interesting. That's what living out loud is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear
Yeah.
you. Well, I am so glad that I got to
I'm
talk with you. I love that my mom reached
Yeah,
out to
I'm so
you.
I did too. God love a strong mom who just like I absolutely love it. My mother would do the exact same thing. So,
I mean, I told her she has to pick a lane. I'm not going to step on her toes. And, we like talking to different people and but she really she feels so empowered in helping with this, and I just love it. I mean, she's also really great during, big,
mhm.
voting, and she will get on the phones and she'll go and, so she's a multi-level good do-gooder at the
Please
end of the
tell
day.
her a huge thank you, a really heartfelt
I
thank you from
will.
me for letting us have this time to talk.
I know, and it's fantastic, and I can't wait when I come back into Atlanta. I will give you guys a heads
Please,
up, and I'd love to,
please
yeah,
do.
see you and go have a good meal
We can go to
somewhere.
the
And
Claremont Lounge. That sounds like a good time
yes,
too.
that sounds like a great time. I love it, but I wish you so much goodness and keep doing the work that some people don't want to
Mm.
do, and keep doing it with sparkle and glitter trailing behind you.
Same to you. Really, thank you for
Thanks.
everything you're doing and for taking the time.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's this favorite part of my day right here.
Like,
All right,
all
talk
right,
to you soon.
thanks.
If you liked this episode, please hit the follow button and remember, sharing is caring. Until next week, stay proud, stay loud.